It's not Friday, but the weather's beautiful, so it's a great day, Paul. Welcome back, everybody, to First Ring Daily.
First Weather Daily.
Yep.
It is beautiful out today. I haven't been able to say that since
1942.
Yeah, it's been a while. The Germans have taken Poland. Also, the weather's pretty good. I think that was right around then.
It is wonderful. It was wonderful out last evening. It's wonderful out today. It is quite windy. If you haven't gotten that yet, you've got that quite literally blowing your way.
Nope, not yet.
But as you can maybe guess here, Paul, do you know what I was doing this morning?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be even better soon.
Yep, it's getting there. It was great. I played well. Actually, I was the only person out on the course. It felt like I had the whole place to myself. Nobody would bother me other than you and Mahedi on Skype chatting. And yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. We thought that would be acceptable.
A fine time to chat. Yeah, no, it felt great. Only played 9 holes, but if I could do this every Thursday, I mean, I teed off at
Life is good.
I teed off at 8:15 and I was done at 9:30.
Yeah, it's not going to be like that in a couple of weeks.
No, it's going to be busier and whatnot. But an hour 15 for 9 holes, played pretty well. Could have played better, but happy with the performance, if you will.
Walked the dog last night. I made a few mistakes myself, but it was okay.
The dog did too. You know, I peed on the wrong things.
A constant source of amusement.
Yeah. Speaking of a constant source of amusement, Paul, the other image I was going to put up here, what was going to be called the Apple HiFi, if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
That Apple debuted and it didn't really sell well.
Boombox.
Yep. And if only there would have been some sort of indication that an Apple hardware-based music speaker wouldn't sell very well, that might have been it, because word on the Bloomberg Street is that the HomePod did not sell very well, or is not selling very well.
I mean, sure.
Shocker.
Relative to what? I mean, like to Sonos probably. Yeah, that makes sense. Why would anyone buy one of these things? You'd have to have your head so far up Apple's katoot to think this was a good idea.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, at least to me, and this is why my brother didn't. My brother was set to buy one, and then he said, "Wait, it doesn't support Spotify." And
this is you're dedicating a decade of your life to all Apple, and I don't just mean all Apple hardware. I mean like all Apple services, whatever. Now it's going to change. I mean, the thing will improve over time. They'll add those features they promised but never delivered, like stereo pairing, and there'll probably be a lower price version, or they'll lower the price of this one, whatever. It'll be more competitive. But I feel very strongly about lock-in and just the mistake there. And Apple will never provide us with that little Chromecast thing.
Yep.
That would make this not a problem, because if like an AirPlay cast device, whatever you want to call that costs, well, it would be an Apple one, it'd be $100 or whatever, but whatever the cost of it was, that you could just put on any speakers would be fine, because you could always use those speakers elsewhere. This thing, you're just stuck. And no matter how good it sounds, you're stuck. I just don't understand why anyone would make a decision like that.
Yep. I will say one thing. I think some people who have written some of this stuff up are making a mistake. People are like putting this up against like an Echo Dot. Like, look, Amazon's selling so much more. This isn't, that's not a comparable sales. No. If you want to compare this to something, it has to be to a Sonos, or maybe like a Google Max.
Yes, those are the comparisons.
Yeah, not people. Somebody wrote him like, but there's Amazon Echoes are just selling like crazy.
You know what else used to sell a lot? Ford Escorts. Does anyone look back on those things with any sense of nostalgia? Your Ford Escort Pony, probably $7, $9 plus a couple of those coupons you got on cereal boxes. You drive out of the Ford dealership with a hunk of crap.
Paul, are you trying to say that people don't love the K car?
Someone must have. I mean, I guess. I don't know. It certainly enabled people to buy a car less expensively than was maybe the case before.
Yep.
And the Echo Dot solves that problem in voice speakers too. The Google Home Mini does too. They have solutions at all price ranges, just like Apple. Sorry, for you American Express Platinum owners, Apple has a couple of options.
I was like, what? But you know what? Here we are. It's nothing can bring me.
So the thing I thought of with the HomePod is, look, Apple always has some sort of there's a market there for this stuff. It could be a small market, but it's still going to be a fairly lucrative market. They sell things at very high margins and high prices and everything. And I don't think Apple's going to lose money on the HomePod or whatever. So,
Right.
no worries there. But there's just this inherent thing to Appledom that I find very troubling. And I don't know if you saw this. This has been widely circulated, but somebody wrote a post, I think, on Medium recently that was called, the 3 stages of Apple criticism. And the idea is that, and he can point to this one guy who, looks at a device and says, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the AirPods. There's no way those things sound any good. They're way too expensive, And then he notices that people are wearing them all over New York City or wherever he lives. And he's like, wow, these things are probably doing better than I thought they were doing. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I should give them a shot. And then he buys them and he's like, holy crap, these things are awesome. Like, now I totally get it. I was really wrong about that. And yeah, they really do justify the price. And you know what? The sound quality actually isn't that bad. And then you can point to this jerk and be like, see, that's what happens. And it's like, no, that's what happened there. Mm-hmm. That's what can happen. People have knee-jerk reactions to things that are often wrong, but people also have reactions to things that are correct. And it's not fair to say that any person who had that reaction to that device, if they had bought one and used it, would have had then that same turnaround. I think right. the real lesson there is that extreme views are extreme in every case, and that, Apple obviously makes popular products. It's the most successful company on earth, but it's not fair to say that they don't make mistakes, that they don't design things poorly, and that things don't go wrong. The Air HomePod, whatever it's called, regardless of how well it's sold, is what it is. The iPhone 10, regardless of the notch, sells more than most smartphones for sure. Has absolutely not met expectations, and you'll see that in how they changed the iPhone line, this year. There's lots of goofy mistakes. Why can't Apple release a Mac? Like, what is going on with this company? You could also point out it's the biggest, most successful company on earth. Why can't it ship products?
Yeah.
How hard is it to ship a Mac?
Yep.
So I sort of just reject this. Everyone's so busy looking for a worldview that matches their own, rather than looking objectively at something, whether it's the Apple lie yesterday that they have 48 million Apple Music subscribers, which they don't. They have 40 million. And then everyone says, oh, but Spotify does the same thing. No, they don't. Spotify has paying subscribers, and they have free subscribers who are monetized through ads. Apple just doesn't have that offering. So we're not going to change the discussion because Apple decided not to compete the same way. This is how they decided to compete. They're doing great. You don't have to exaggerate it. I just, the problem with the Apple stuff is the hubris at the top of the company, and then just the bland acceptance of the user base that everything they do is fine. It's fine. It's fine. I take it. I love it. I love it. I love it because they made it. I'll take it. And it's, not literally 100% true, but there's just so much of that.
You doing all right over there?
The HomePod is Apple's biggest ever suppository. That's all I'm saying.
I just sense a little tension in your rant.
I sort of resent the lack of thinking, and I also literally resent when people come to me and say, they criticize me for pointing out this stuff, like I'm somehow overly critical or negative or whatever it is. And it's like, guys, I'm just trying to apply the same level of thinking to everything. It's not aimed at Apple. Apple just happens to be the topic today. I don't hate the HomePod or think that it doesn't deserve to exist or whatever. I think there is a market for this device, and I think the audiophile, well-heeled types that tend to go to Apple products would look at this and want it. I would say for you, for example, you love Sonos and you get it, but you tell me you didn't look at that thing. Tell me.
I definitely did. We went into the Apple store. My wife looked at it, and we looked at it together. And she says, if buying one of those means placing all those other Sonos speakers, she said, put it down.
Yeah. Yep.
and I did, and I walked away.
Yes, and that's a normal response. And so to me, that's a normal beginning, middle, and end, right? This notion that everyone has this turnaround, that if you just bought this product, you would understand how awesome Apple is as flawed as the guy who had the knee-jerked reaction the first time he saw the AirPods in that case or whatever. I found myself browsing the Apple website when they announced this thing, like, maybe.
Yeah.
It's even though it's patently stupid for me to buy that, for me personally, it just would make no sense. Yep. Speaking of no sense, as you can see, my cat is back. Also not an Apple fan. It's okay, cat.
Although your cat might like the HomePod because it does resemble a yarn little ball thing.
Yep. So I can play my CD. Well, it's a now electronic version of Music for Cats, which is just low rumbling and purring sounds. You'd enjoy it. It's good to code by.
Well, I'll take your suggestion and I'll put it into the suggestion box, and we'll move on to the next topic.
And then I will eject that from my spam folder.
Oh gosh. What is the next topic? Not a good transition here, but good news. Paul says the PC PC market has flatlined, which actually
we're at the point now with the PC market where our bar for low news or for good news is so low it almost doesn't even make any sense anymore. But we for years now we've been looking for that moment where the PC market rebounds off the bottom and maybe even grows a little bit or whatever. But I think we're at the point now where success here is measured by it being flat, meaning that sales have not increased or declined year over year, which is exactly what happened this year. But there is, some cause to be celebrating is perhaps a strong word, but at least to be semi-happy with the way things are going. Because as you know, there is this new generation of 8th generation Intel processors. Sorry, we have someone coming to the house, so of course my dog has to protect us from the evil woman. There's this new generation of Intel 8th gen processors hitting the market. And there's the quad-core stuff that's already happened across the board. And then we just saw the i9s, which are like, I think are, what do you call it, hexacore, 6-core, whatever.
Yeah.
Intel's really making a good push for the premium and gaming end of the market, which is where all the profits are. And between that and the regulatory changes in Europe, people are starting to upgrade. And by people, I mean not people, I guess. I mean companies, actually. But, corporations are finally starting to upgrade to Windows 10, and in doing so, are upgrading to new computers. So this could be a positive year overall.
Interesting. We'll call this late-breaking news. I'm actually restarting my computer, which I forgot was tied to this monitor back here. So I am doing great things over here on this side. Somebody just sent a tip on Twitter. It says Windows 1803 just showed up on my non-insider PC.
Okay, so that's interesting. Mehdi had this thing this morning. He said, what if the build number is different now?
Yeah.
I don't remember, 17134 or something like that. So you may recall that when they delayed this thing earlier in the week, which, the delay that isn't a delay because Microsoft never said anything about it. The theory here was they really only need, if this thing that they fixed is fixed, they only need a couple of days to make it right. And so we were, even on Windows Weekly yesterday, we were saying, as soon as tomorrow or as late as next week, maybe, I think this thing could start going out. So maybe that has happened.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if we see more reports.
Installing an older, I just retweeted it and said, does anybody else see this? I'm curious to see if we get any response. The reason why this is all black now is I'm actually restarting this PC. And of course, there's an update, and we are at a sweltering 26%, 27%.
Sure. Well, at least it's a pretty color.
Yeah, this is... while there is no background here, this is actually a look into Paul's soul.
Yep.
Just nice
yep.
Deep...
There's little bits of light, but mostly it's dark.
Yeah, maybe like these up here, which are just reflecting off. You can kind of see my monitor right there. And
yeah.
One of these days, these updates won't take forever to install, because I'd actually like to see if I could search for the update, but we are at 29%. Paul, you got anything else to talk about for the next?
I'm sorry.
70%.
What?
You got any topics here to talk about for the next 70% of this update?
No, I mean I'm probably get the second part of my Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus review up today. That one focuses on photography. It's a really big topic. I got to say, as good as the camera's great, and I think most people will be fine just leaving it on auto and not worrying about it. If you really plumb the depths of this thing, and my God, it's going to take some time because there's so much going on. But there are all these different photo modes and things you can do with photos, and special types of photos you can take, and slow motion photos, and It's really kind of overwhelming, which I think is maybe the theme of Samsung products for whatever it's worth. But I know from my times doing those signature studies that people fall kind of on a spectrum when it comes to this sort of thing, and there's an audience of people who really prefer like kind of a stripped down, bare, pure Android in this case experience. They might lend or tend toward the iPhone. But there's also people who really like the fact that this thing comes with so much. And if you're looking for months or even a year of exploration and discovering new things, let me tell you, the Samsung Galaxy is a fine choice, because I don't know that I'm ever going to master this thing. It continually amazes me how many tiny things there are that are different from regular Android, and just how much stuff there is. And the camera is an excellent example of that. It's like a funhouse mirror of ideas. It's crazy.
Well, you've done a good job so far of delaying, because I'm now back into Windows. I was trying to reconnect and hook that up, and I was going to hit update. Nope. Check for updates. Dun 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 dun. Checking for updates.
I also got a cute little Verizon 4G LTE SIM card in the mail, which I don't actually even need, but I guess I'll put it in that HP thing and see how that works.
We're still checking for updates. It's
really
no time like
now,
the present.
What are you running there? Are you on the Fall Creators update?
Yes, I am on.
Even if it is going out today, the initial release that was supposed to be Tuesday was not the broad public deployment. It was really for people who, sought it out and wanted to get it. So, I mean, this isn't the first time I've heard of someone saying that they had gotten this build. In fact, as long ago as a week or so ago, someone made this claim. It's almost like, Windows Update is like the dike, and the kid's got his finger in one of the holes, and then there's another hole over here and another one over there, and eventually he runs out of digits. And, people just kind of get it, even though it's really not technically supposed to be heading out.
Yeah. Nobody else is saying that they're getting it. Rich Woods speculates that this guy was still on the release preview. Although
that could be.
Checked for updates. It installed an anti-whatever Defender update. We are... Nope.
Isn't it entertaining that every time you check for updates, there is one of those?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they just don't tell me you're installing that. Just do it. There's no reason to see that.
Yep. All right. You got anything else, Paul?
No, that's about it. I'll work on my Samsung stuff today.
Yeah, you will.
How about you?
No, I've got actually some work to do. Finish up a couple white paper stuff here, and I think that's about it.
I know where your mind's at, though. I can see what's happening here. Your body's in your office, but your heart and your mind are somewhere else today.
Yeah, it's still out here.
Green.
Mostly just because I played pretty well. I didn't lose a single ball. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't screw up too badly any drives. What killed me today was my short game. I shot a 47, which is good for me. Under 50 is good. Over 50 is bad. And I could have done so much better, but the problem is that I'm hitting the ball better with my irons, which is good. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that I was so used to hitting them poorly that I had the range distance down with my wedges further back. And so now that I'm...
You have to adjust your
now I'm
or whatever
chipping a lot from, let's say, 40 to like 80 yards. And previously it was more like 80 to 100 yards. Well, 80 to 100 I'm really good, but that 40 to 60 I'm all over the place. And so it's better but worse. So there you go.
You have a whole summer to get this right.
Oh, yeah. We're looking forward to that. All right, folks. So that wraps it up for today. We will be back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for another live edition where we hope not to screw it up. You can find more information at thurrott.com/live. I almost screwed that up. And that's where we'll be. And we hope you have a wonderful and hopefully a warm Thursday.
Cool.